I think there was it burning bush? No, one of the invasives, I'm forgetting now. But so yeah, where was I going with that? Anyway, oh, and then there was a deck on site. So that was kind of grandfathered in that perimeter, which is why we're able to have that patio and pathways. The patio so close to the lake. Normally, I would not recommend that. But anyway, so we had to remove the retaining wall. This similar situation, there was the sinkholes. What happens, especially with upland runoff, can create this freezing, thawing, and heaving in the winter, and so it can kind of move stuff around. There was also erosion happening from underneath the retaining wall, and so there was actually just like holes in the lawn right down into the lake. You could like see the lake right below you. And then this is a section showing existing conditions, and then what we were going for, again, a minimum 15-foot wide naturalized vegetation planting. The landowner didn't want to go like full naturalized where they, you know, like meadow style or just letting it be no-mow. So we went with a planting plan that where it's all mulched, and I used a lot of stoloniferous woody shrubs. So shrubs that will spread and creep, and a lot of ground covers that will spread to get as much coverage as possible. And I'll share some of the plants I chose for that in a minute. This is removing the retaining wall. We didn't bring in any on-site stone for this. So this was all there underneath, which was quite a lot more rock than we expected. We did still, so Chris Lapete Excavation was the one who did this. He did a great job. Did remove a lot of the chunks of concrete, but mostly kept a lot of the stone on site. This was kind of regrading the shore above the stone toe, installing the erosion control materials. This was actually like a gorgeous early December. Placing rock, restless native to the stone steps. And then in the spring, we came back and we planted. Normally, we usually just spot compost if we're doing container plantings, but because there was so many plants in this planting, a lot of containers, shrubs, perennials, a couple B&B trees, we put about 1 inch of compost over all the erosion control matting. Now, I would only do that with low P compost. And so we sourced from Greenhaven. They've got a source of, it's all yard waste, leaf litter based compost, especially being so close to the lake. And also we mulch over all of it after planting. So then this is right after planting. And so I make sure with these plantings, I try to get as many woody shrubs and trees as I possibly can advocate for, as close to the shoreline as possible. In a sense, we want to, you know, shade out the shallow water. We want to mimic what's growing on either side to the best of like my capacity to advocate for that. Of course, it's not my money I'm spending. This was all privately funded. So, but I use a lot of, you can see sweet gale, some Eureka gale in the foreground there. A lot of the shrubs were cultivars of natives because we had to keep, one of the design goals is to keep the view open, you know, so below 3 to 4 feet. But we use a lot of the nativar of the eastern red cedar, Juniperus virginiana. We use a lot of low bush honeysuckle, the true native. I love the Deerville lanicera, the Rhus aromatica, the fragrant low growing sumac. Some low-growing aronia, black chokeberry, some, what else? Clethra alnifolia. Yeah, and then this is year 1. Yep. And then that will cover it, and it's noon. So I'm sorry, I didn't leave much room for questions, but I'm here, I can stick around.
All right, there is a question in the chat. It says, how did you select the elevation for the lowest coir log and plantings in case study 2? If not analytically, what features on the landscape were you looking at to decide?
So yes, lowest elevation for the coir log and plantings in case study 2. Okay, yes, this one here. So this one is well above the mean water level. You can see the lake is quite a bit far down that shaly beach. So we just kept the bank, the edge of the bank where it was. Let me see if I can find that before and after. Yeah, so this is the edge of the bank here, and we just kept that edge right there. So that's where the coconut coir roll went, and then we regraded back. And so, yeah, we had room to regrade back. We would have also had room to regrade forward towards the lake, but that would also require a lot more topsoil, a lot more input. And so we figured the best way would just be regrade back and keep the toe of the bank where it was.
All right. Any other questions for Holly or any of our other panelists today? It is noon, so if you don't have questions, it's okay. All right, I see one more in the chat. For all of the presenters, did any of the projects have a P reduction estimate or cost efficiency reduction dollars per kilogram phosphorus?
Not for mine. They were, the Joe's Pond one was a design and implementation block grant, and yeah, so no, not for mine. They probably wouldn't have qualified.
Ours was not cost competitive enough, but Meg's was.
Yeah, I don't know if Meg is still here. That project did go through the Clean Water Service Provider and had a phosphorus reduction credit associated. Oh, she is still
Yes,
here.
I am. Yeah. Hi. It did, and I don't remember what it was, but it was within the cost effectiveness thresholds for funding by the QUISP. I
Yeah.
can check on that.
And I'd say generally speaking, usually you're looking at a more serious erosion problem and a more serious bioengineering practice for those to get those phosphorus reduction numbers. Not that these aren't serious, but all of the projects were serious. But you know, having a lot of erosion right into the water.
In general, being on the Basin Water Quality Council, we're tending to see a lot. Patrick can probably speak to this with more experience than I, but we're seeing a lot more phosphorus reduction for the for basically not for these lakeshore projects, but we do find them valuable in their own way, even if they are marginal for the phosphorus reduction.
Yeah, I would say statewide, just having looked at a lot of these projects, most of them are going through design and implementation block grants. I always suggest if you have a lot of erosion happening, you know, pull out the calculator and see what numbers you're going to get. But yeah, mostly they don't have a high enough phosphorus reduction value to cost ratio to get clean water service provider funding. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, thank you, panel, for your case studies and your expertise and sharing that with us today. We're all going to take a break right now. We have an hour break for lunch, so please be back here by 1 o'clock. We are going to separate out into breakout rooms, so don't be late, or you might end up not in a breakout room. And we'll do that breakout at 1 o'clock. So thank you all.
Thank you.